All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. He is here. He is present with us both physically, spiritually, and virtually, ladies and gentlemen. It's the man, it's the myth, it's the legend, it's the only one that you can even ever imagine whose ego is not been inflated by his professional talents. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, appearing on the WAPJ airwaves, it's none other than the man himself, T-Boz.
I'll be appearing at Lake Tahoe next week with that introduction. And then we're on to Vegas and then Atlantic City. Good morning, Mr. Williams. And good morning, all of you. Look at the students piling in. The spring weather, George, is bringing them out in droves. I hope we have enough seats. And what a wonderful interview. National Day of Prayer next Friday. Wonderful interview you did, Jock, with your guests. And I really enjoyed that. Obviously, I am very much interested in that, obviously. And it's great, folks, here on community radio. You can talk about God. You can talk about prayer. We don't have to watch what we say, and to an extent. And we can freely have all the different kind of programming that we have here at WAPJ. And I, for one, am proud and honored to be part of it. So thank you for having me on again, Mr. Williams. We got a group coming up. What do we have, a church group here? Down from where? From Fairfield. Oh, Grace Methodist. I know Grace Methodist Church. I got married there 41 years ago almost. And wow, look at them all coming in, guys and women. And how did you hear about it? On the internet. Great. So welcome in, everyone. Jock's across the street. You guys can wave over here over Water Street, the big windows. He will be over again later to talk to everyone and share some thoughts and all of that. And Stan is ready in that corner over there. So why don't we get over to the refreshment table? Lady Diana always says her favorite part is what kind of coffee is Stan making today. So we're headed over to the refreshment table. There he is, Stan. Say it with me, guys. The coffee man. The new people, Jock, are shaking their head going, what's going on here? Just follow along. You'll get it. So, Stan, what do we have in the beautiful spring coffee pot today? Macadamia nut roast. Wow. Where do you find these things? On the internet. Okay. It smells fabulous. And look what we have at the refreshment table, something different. We have stuffed breads today. Oh, Jock, when do you come over here? We have broccoli bread and spinach bread and sausage bread and even pizza bread. Oh, Stan, this is amazing. And we have yogurt. We have fruit for the people who like that. And you'll slice all this up for the guests. Thank you. And Stan, who is our sponsor today for this awesome refreshment table? None other than the Berkshire right here in Torrington, tin ceiling, wood tables and wood booths. Took Lady Diana there a few weeks ago. It's a mainstay. It's a historical building. So if you're tooling around the northwest corner this spring, looking at the beautiful Berkshires and all of that we have up here, stop in at the Berkshire. Thank them for sponsoring the refreshment table. And they've been in business for years, and we thank them. So thank you, Stan. Yes, George? Yeah, could you, bring on the AC a little bit? It's a little stuffy in here because the weather's changing. Thank you. All right. If anyone needs anything, see George, and then you can go up when you want, and Stan will help you with all of that. Quick shout-out, Relay for Life, been moved. The new date, May 31st. And 99 Thompson Road in Avon. I will be there with Lady Diana. They have a torch ceremony that night. Beautiful. They do a roll call of the people who do the torches. I'm going to be doing a torch for my late wife. It's 10 years of her passing in June. And then Diana will be honoring her mother, 20 years. So there's still time to be part of this. If you want to sponsor a Luminarius bag or anything, relayforlife.com, I believe it is. It's on the internet. You can do your donation there. And the last shout out, my younger daughter, Rachel, and her handsome husband, Justin, celebrate 4 years of marital bliss today, and we are congratulating them. They have 2 handsome sons, Jackson, the older grandson, and Wesson. They have a beautiful house that they just bought, and they got chickens and goats there, and so happy anniversary to them. So let's get to the format. We were doing a 3-series piece here, but boys and girls, this is volunteer radio, and Jock does have other obligations sometimes, so when he can't be here, I can't be here. So we wanted to do the Easter message last week for y'all, so we did it. And so we flip-flop our sequence. So just in review, we were doing a series of upbeat, motivational, positive thinking, positive vibes, if you will. And so the first one, we started back with the March Madness. Remember, we talked about all the different basketball quotes and that positive feel. A lot of people liked that. They said it was like a Tony Robbins kind of thing. And then the second week, we did the awesome Helen Keller, which I'm still getting compliments on that. I thank you all. The Helen Keller piece about how this woman who was deaf and blind rose from that major disability and became such a force, starting the ACLU and donating money and leaving a trust for blind people, and it just goes on and on and on. And we talked about the miracle at the well, right? And you've seen the miracle worker, and when she hasn't been speaking, and finally Ann Sullivan brings her to a well, puts her hand under the water, and finally Helen Keller says the word water. And what I encouraged all of you in the classroom and those of you listening on the airways is where is your well, okay? Have you come to the well in your life, regardless of your age, okay? Have you come to the well, and what's your word? What's the first word? What's your water? What's your word that you need to move forward, all right? And so what we're going to do today is we're going to piggyback on that, and this was going to be last week, but like I said, we got to move things around. And this week is how do we stay positive? Once we've said water, once we've gotten to the well, okay, how do we maintain that positive attitude? And it's not always easy. My friend Chris Campfield, who does No Commercial Potential on Wednesday nights from 5 to 7, and My Country Place, Real Country Music, y'all, he sent a great critique, and he cited there are other disabilities. I talked about mine being visually impaired. There are other disabilities, he thought, and today's talk will go right into that. And some of the ones he cited was self-confidence. All right, that's a disability. Just because you don't have a walker or a crutch doesn't mean you don't have a disability. Self-confidence, being assertive, whether in your relationship with your spouse or significant other or professionally. Okay, are you assertive in your relationship? Shyness. By the way, boys and girls, shyness is not an inherited trait. It is a fact that it comes from the conditions, environments in which a person is raised. So shyness could be a disability, right? And I know a few people that have done major work on themselves and have broken through their shyness, and then unable to get along with others. Remember that one in school? You know, in the back, you know, my when my kids were going to school, I used to say to them, look, I want you to get good grades. I said, but some people have different talents, and so you might be better at science. Someone else might be better at English, you know, or agriculture like my younger daughter, or business like my older daughter. I said, but the category that you should always get an A in is conduct. You don't have to be gifted to stand up when the teacher says stand up, sit down, walk in line, do your homework, and that kind of thing. So conduct. So getting along with others is a disability. As you all know, you're all in the workplace, all in the business place. You have customers. How do we get along with others? So Chris was very helpful in bringing these disabilities to the table, which we then can incorporate into staying positive. So what? So we can get over those disabilities. And so, again, piggybacking to our Helen Keller piece. Let's get over to our first quote, and we're going to start with Scripture. Haven't done this in a while. We're going to start with Psalms 118, verse 24, and it says, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. Now if you're going to have a positive self-image or a positive outlook, might as well start with Psalms 118. It says, this is the day. It doesn't say this week, let's rejoice and be glad. This month, let's rejoice and be glad. Okay? This day, okay? It's today. And a lot of us miss it. And the other day I was out for a walk and I bumped into Uncle Tom. He does a show on Fridays, the diner show that he does. And he does a theater show on Monday. And we were talking, he's Episcopalian, and we were talking faith. And before I left, I said, well, I'll see you, next Easter. Maybe we'll do something together with our churches. And he said, God willing. And I turned, I said, Uncle Tom, you're right. God willing. Going right back to Psalms 118, this is the day, boom, the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. Most of us, are you glad? Guy shaking his head. Are you glad, man? Why? You've got some bills to pay. Ma'am, you shake your head no, but you haven't heard from your daughter in a while. Okay, all right? So these are real things that affect us, and it's hard to pick ourselves up and say, this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. But you got to speak it into yourself, okay? You got to tell yourself, you only have today. Don't waste it. Don't waste it. Some of you are retired and all you're doing is driving around Torrington. And I love Torrington. It's just as good as Great Barrington. There's a whole world out there. Okay? And I'm going to be talking about going to the Square Dance Convention pretty soon. Og Mandino, born in 1923, 1996, wrote a bunch of books, sold 50 million copies. He's in the Speaker Hall of Fame. He's one of my favorites, not only because he's Italian descent. And he says, treasure. There you go. Treasure the love you receive. Above all, it will survive, okay, long. So treasure the love you receive. Jesus also says, and Og is quoting Jesus, where Jesus says, what you treasure, so will your heart be. So if you want to be positive, what do you treasure? Okay, what do you treasure? Do you treasure your job over your family? Do you treasure time alone? So what you treasure, that's where your heart be. So Og Mandino takes it a step further. He says, treasure the love you receive. So some of us will say, oh, I didn't get that job, or I didn't get that investment, or the market is up and down, or blah, 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 blah. Right? Remember Saturday Night Live? They had a skit. I just saw it. Debbie Downer. Blah, 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 blah. But Og tells us, treasure the love you receive from your friends, from your spouse, from your kids, from your grandchildren, from the people at work, or like the people at WHCJ. They love each other. All different faiths, all different political type people over here, all different things, but we love each other. We care about each other. So I treasure the love that I receive from those people. Why? Because it will last. Everything else is temporal. Everything else is temporal. But love endures. And the great advice from the late Og Mandino. We'll just keep rolling along here. We look at Mark chapter 10, verse 27. And it says, nothing is impossible with God. Oh. And I know some of you are saying, gee, I prayed for a healing for my brother. I didn't get it. Prayed for that house that I really wanted my daughter to buy. It was in a good neighborhood, good school system. Didn't get it. Okay? And we're saying, so where is nothing impossible with God? Well, first off, the way I interpret that, nothing is impossible with God, meaning ourselves. We limit ourselves when we think, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, because of this, because of that. Nothing is impossible with God, okay? So I'm going to be going square dancing. I can't see for beans anymore, boys and girls. Let me tell you something. My vision is compromised. But I'm going to go, and I'm going to put it in God's hand that I'm not going to crash and end up in the pool. But in terms of the heavier topics, the things you pray for, and sometimes we don't get, that hurts. That's troubling. So where are things not impossible with God? Okay? The answer to that is, it's not impossible, and you still have your faith. And though, like my wife had passed away, and though some people didn't get the house that they wanted, in God's perfect plan, there is a reason. And you have to, as we learned last week, where Jesus said, nevertheless, let your will be done, not mine. And he turned a gruesome Good Friday into a beautiful Easter. There is an Easter for all of you, even in the wake of that divorce, even in the wake of that loss, even in the wake of that promotion you didn't get. There is an Easter because nothing is impossible. And Jock talked about this earlier, being at a point in life where you're right up against the guardrail, and then the answer comes. So you have to be patient. You have to be patient with yourself, and you have to realize that there's a bigger purpose in life than what we can just see in front of us. My clock over here across the street says, Mr. Williams, 11:31. Do you want to hit those sponsors?
Yes, sir. Indeed, I do.
There you are.
We want to thank our sponsors for allowing us to bring you the quality community radio broadcasting that you're witnessing at this particular time. We also want to encourage each and every one of you to participate in local and live Thursdays right here on the Feel Good Show. If you're a business, artist, venue, or person of interest and you want to blast off to the community to let everyone know what you're doing, what you're up to, and what you're all about, then indeed Thursdays is your day to make it happen right here at WAPJ. And with that being said, we'll return the airwaves back over to T-Boz for more words of wisdom and moments of meditation.
Thank you, Positive Jock Williams. And again, wonderful, wonderful interview. I said to Jock the other day off the air, he does a wonderful job of interviewing. See, you know what else is nice in life? If you tell someone positive about themselves, instead of always telling people what they do wrong. We can't wait to tell someone what they did wrong, right? But when Jock does an interview, and Darcy, who has the morning show at 7 o'clock on Thursday, they both have a great style because they ask their guest a question, and then they let them answer it and finish out their thoughts. And then they complement the person's answer with their thoughts. A lot of times I've heard viewers, because I love radio, and the people don't get their thought out, and the interviewer is on right in the middle of their sentence. So a wonderful interview today. You can go on archives, boys and girls, and get that interview from today if you'd like. So Audrey Hepburn, the great actress who won an Oscar for Roman Holiday in 1953, and she was nominated 4 other times for Oscars, says this: the word impossible, the word itself says, I am possible. Take the word and cut it up yourself. The lady's writing it down. That's a good quote. You like that one, don't you? Yeah, she's smiling. The woman who was shaking her head before. Okay. The word itself says, I am possible. And she won the 1993 Jean Herschel Humanitarian Award. So when you look at the word impossible, it says, I am possible. You are all possible of doing things. But that's the good news. Here's the bad news. But you may not be possible of being the next Derek Jeter. Okay? You may not be the next Bon Jovi. You may not be the next Jock Williams. Okay? But what's possible is being the best you. That's what we talk about on it. And a lot of us sometimes get negative because we're still, even in our 60s and 70s, we're comparing ourselves to Michael Wininski in 6th grade who sat next to us and always got 100. Okay? I had a kid, his name was Robert Smith. He always got A's. I always got, anyway, B's. But we struggle with that. But Audrey's telling us the word itself, impossible, is I am. You are possible doing the things that God has created for you, the gifts that he's given you to do. That's what you can do. That's impossible. Stop trying to be Vince Lombardi. That's not your game plan. No pun intended. You have a plan. My plan, I believe, was to come up here to Torrington so my late wife can go to Benchmark, and she was loved there and made an impact on that company. And my calling is to do this. I'm not trying to be Wolfman Jack. I'm being T-Boz. So nothing is impossible. The word impossible says I am possible. Maggie Kuhn, she started the Grey Panthers. She was an activist. She says speak your mind, even if your voice is shaky. Bing, bang, boom. A lot of us, right, we talk, what did we say with the basketball show? Well, I forget the person who said it. Maybe it'll come to me. But said, the only shot is the one you don't take. The difference between a good shot and a bad shot is throwing the ball. And so she's saying the same thing. Maggie's saying that, speak, even if your voice is shaky, a lot of you are so nervous of that. Go right back to what Chris Canfield said. Self-confidence. A lot of them, I don't know if I can. All right? Ask for the Spirit. You can. And you should. And if you're a little shaky and if you don't know really what you're doing, just throw the ball. When I started this program with Mr. Williams 4 years ago, I think it's almost 5 years ago, it was a 5-minute spot. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Neither did he. He didn't know what was coming across the airwaves, but we built it program at a time. So speak, even if your voice is shaky. We look at Teddy Roosevelt, right, the great president there, the red handkerchief guy, all that. He says, 10 and you are halfway there. Wow. Just what Audrey Hepburn is saying, okay, and just what it's saying in Mark chapter 10. Believe that you can do the things that you are gifted to. I'm not going to be in the NASCAR, okay? But that's not my calling. There are people who are called and have talent to that. But I believe that I can do good motivational speaking, inspirational speaking, and I've done it publicly and on the air, okay? I believe I can do that. I'm halfway there. And you're halfway there, ma'am, whatever your talent is. And Big Dave in the back with his wife, Sylvia, you're halfway there, what you guys can do. And Stan and George's fiance, Alicia, who does a Saturday show, Alternative Anthems. Okay? Believe that you can, and you're halfway there. Og Mandino has another quote I love, and it says, I will love the light, for it shows me the way. And I will endure the darkness, for it shows me the stars. Wow. When we're in the darkness, that's when we can see the stars. You can't see the stars on a day like today. So there are times, and I know those of you personally and those of you sitting in this room, you're in the darkness, but you can endure the darkness because of the light. My light is Jesus Christ. You guys may have a different source of light, and that's okay. Like we say here, all are welcome. But focus on that light and notice that when you're in the dark, it's not over, right? The apostles thought that the crucifixion, that was the darkest moment in history, that it was over, okay? But then the stars actually shone when that rock got moved from that tomb. So I love what Og Mandino says. I will love the light, for it shows me the way and helps me to endure the darkness. Toni Morrison, and he is an American novelist, and he says, you are your best thing. Boom. You are your best thing. Not your brother-in-law helped you, whatever. Yeah, maybe your brother-in-law loaned you $10,000 to start a business, but you made that business grow. Okay, my parents had a wonderful grocery store. My Aunt Louise gave them $10,000 to get the thing off the ground. But that's all she did. My parents had to do the work. So they were their best thing. You're your best thing. Jock, right? We all keep looking left and right. And it goes right back to what Chris Canfield said when he said a disability is self-confidence. Okay? Those are disabilities. Shyness. Oh, I can't because I don't like to talk to people. Stop telling yourself that. You keep telling yourself that, you're going to convince yourself that you'll never be able to talk to people. I know a woman who actually joined a club to work her way out of shyness because she didn't want to just be by herself the rest of her life. Okay, you got to put the effort in a little bit, right? Like the Protestants say, God can move a mountain, but you got to bring a shovel. Okay, so this is the great thing that Morrison says here. You are your best thing. Psalms 19, verse 14 says, let the words, and this sounds like words of Words of wisdom, moments of meditation. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord. Boom. Let the words, and the meditation. So you want to be positive. Be careful what you say to yourself. You're your own worst critic. That guy you see in the mirror every morning, you got to watch him or her because they're out to get you. All right? And the meditations of your heart, what are you thinking about? Right? What did Mandino say about treasure the love? What are you holding in your heart? What grudge is still in there from 1963? Okay? What the batter that, hit you with the ball, you're still carrying that with you from 1959. All right? So the meditations of your heart, what are you're hanging on to? And I struggle with this. Ask some of my friends, meditations of my heart sometimes. Ask Lady Diana. I bring these topics up. Do you know why? Because I need help. Oh, the words that you say to yourself and the meditations of your heart. We look at John Lennon. I love this quote. I could end the show right on this if I wanted to, but I won't. We're almost there. And this is beautiful about positive thinking. When you do something, and Jock is going to like this, when you do something beautiful and nobody notices, we've all been there, do not be sad, John Lennon says. For the sun every morning is a beautiful spectacle, and most of the audience is still sleeping. Ooh. And by the way, George has this one quote. I made copies for everyone. I want everyone to take this home with you. Because we do things, and if we don't get patted on the back, or we don't get the acknowledgement at work, or we don't get the raise, or all of those negative things that come our way, we think we failed. But the sun, boys and girls, is a beautiful spectacle. And as the late John Lennon, the great Beatle, says, and when it's doing its beautiful spectacle, most of the audience is sleeping. Don't think that what you're doing isn't beautiful or important because someone didn't recognize it. Because I'll be honest with you, a lot of people in this room, I'm speaking to the choir, a lot of people are sleeping through their lives. They're sleeping. And we go right back over here to Chris Canfield where he says, getting along with others. That's just what that's talking about. All right? Don't worry if someone doesn't see your sunrise. If you think it's beautiful and you created it, whether it's a relationship, if you're going to marry somebody, if it's a piece of art you did, if it's flowers you put in your yard, most of the audience is sleeping. This is a great quote by Maya Angelou, and I'm going to tell a great little story here. And I'll do the quote first. Try to be a rainbow in someone else's cloudy day. Boom. Now, here's a little story. Last year, I went on vacation with Lady Diana. We went to the Poconos, and we had a wonderful time with her family. And she has a little nephew. His name is J.B. Van Riper, and he was 8 now. He was 7 then. And he loved to fish because his Nana, Diana's sister Judy, loves to fish. Her father loved to fish, so fishing is in their blood, so to speak. And this little boy was running around with his fishing pole, and I was goofing around with him, and I said, oh, look, the fish just ran down the street, or the fish just went on a bicycle, or the fish just drove a car. And he would look at me and laugh and run the other way and look at me and laugh. Every time I saw him, I said, JB, the fish just went down the street on a scooter. But he knew I couldn't see well, okay? And here's how you put a rainbow in someone else's cloud. At the very end of the vacation, when no one was really around, his father was loading the truck, but he was busy. The little boy came up to me and he said, Tommy, here's the fishing rod, hold it. Kid's 7 years old. But see, he saw something and he filled the void. He said, hold the fishing pole, which I did. And he took the line with the hook and went all the way out to where the trees were. About, I don't know, maybe 20 feet. And then he took the hook and he hooked it on a big leaf. And then he said, kid is 7 years old last year. You want to know something? This kid isn't asleep. And then he says to me, Tommy, roll in. And I started rolling it in. And as it came in, the leaf was actually wiggling on the hook. And he ran up to me. He says, you caught a fish. He said, I know you can't do actual fishing, but you caught a fish. That is putting a rainbow in someone else's cloud. That is treasuring the love you receive. That is, nothing is impossible with God. God put in this young boy's mind, and I would say through his parents and his grandparents, the Spirit of God, the Spirit of knowing that there are people that need help and not everybody is perfect. He saw a need. He wasn't asleep, like John Lennon said. And he was his best thing, and he made me feel like a champ because I reeled in this huge leaf. That, my friends, is the Christian message. That's positive thinking. That's taking a lemon and making lemonade. What a wonderful, I hope I get to see, well, I'll probably see him at the wedding, hopefully. Maybe he'll come with his wife. No, I'm kidding. He's only 8 years old. Jody Picoult. She says this. She's also an American writer, and she wrote over 40 million copies of a bunch of great books. And she says this, extraordinary things are always hidden in places people never think to look. Boom. The extraordinary thing I found was in a 7-year-old boy. Okay, you never think to look at. You're always looking for the big thing, right? That I always keep saying, the Derek Jeter, the Judy Garland, the Barbara Streisand, right? But a little kid from Virginia, who would think to look there for something extraordinary? I was just standing there, but I found it. And so nothing is impossible with God. We look over at the late Vince Lombardi, and he won 2 Super Bowls, 66 and 67 with the Green Bay Packers. Great coach back in the day, fellow Italian-American. But anyway, he says, life's battles don't always go to the strong or faster man, but sooner or later, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. Boom. Not always the faster, stronger. We go right back to my friend Keith Hodder. We had him up here last year. We got to get him back. He did another road race a couple of weeks ago, came in third again. All right? Guy's disabled, right? Visually, but that's what they say, disabled. We just say we got a little problem, right? Okay? We don't like to label ourselves. As my friend Catherine says, we're differently able, right? But did he let it stop him? No, he goes right back to Teddy Roosevelt, believing that he could do it. He's halfway there. Nothing's impossible with God, right? He got out there. He trains. He tethers with a guy. They work at it, right? Boom, he comes in third again. So he may not have been on the track team, right? He may not be on the box of Wheaties that you just bought, but sooner or later, the man or woman who says they can, like Helen Keller did, she didn't let that darkness and silence stop her. Keith Hodder is a winner. And all of you can be your Keith Hodders, your Helen Kellers, your J.B. Van Ripers. You all have the ability to do that. But you can't be J.B., you can't be Keith, you got to be you. What did Toni Morrison said? You're the best thing you got. You're the best thing that you got. And that's what you have to focus on. We got one more to go here, and then we'll wrap it up. May West, why don't you come up and see me sometime, right? Remember, little chickadee? And she was actually born in Brooklyn, New York. I didn't know that. On August the 17th, 1893, she lived to 1980, and she did My Little Chickadee with W.C. Fields, My Little Chickadee, in 1940. She says this, you only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough. Boom. Little JB is doing it right, caring about people, right? Keith Hodder is doing it right, right? He's making something of himself. Helen Keller did it right. May West did it right. You only have one life, right? But if you do it right, if you help people, if you're positive about yourself, if you get over the shyness, if you get over being less assertive in a relationship, if you get over those things, then once is enough. Because the rabbi from Nazareth told us that it's one lap, but we got a lot more where we're going. That's really where our goal is. That's really where we're headed. Okay? And so by living it right, you only need one. Right? Jesus did it right. He lived once. And when he comes back again, he's going to take us all with him. Amen. The last quote is Tom Hanks, the great actor Tom Hanks, and he says this: if it wasn't difficult, everyone would do it. It's the difficult things that make it great. So true. It's not easy for me to square dance anymore. It's work. I love it. It's work. Okay? It's not easy, but I'm going to this convention and I'm going to dance my butt off. And we dance from 11 o'clock, and I've never been to this before, but they tell me from 11 o'clock in the morning till midnight, then they have parties afterwards, then you do it again on Saturday to make sure you got it right on Sunday. But I'm going to go because it's the difficult things and trying to do all the moves and trying to get around the people and not bang into people and not end up in the piano. In that difficulty is where the greatness comes, is where the accomplishment comes, right? It's where Keith had to practice and do that and work with another gentleman so he could do the race. It wasn't easy for Keith, right? It wasn't easy for Helen Keller. But in that difficulty, that's where you see, you endure the darkness. That's where the light is. The light is in the difficulty, okay? And through that light and through that effort and through that thinking and getting over these things that Chris brought to our attention, these disabilities, getting along with others, and shyness and self-confidence. Right? We can get over those things by following a lot of these things that people said, and we won't be the audience that's asleep. The last quote is by the rocking guy from Jersey, John Bon Jovi. Has a great marriage. You're married for years. Goes to show you people in the entertainment business can do it. And he says this, very simple. Write this down. Success is falling 9 times and getting up 10. You got to get up. When my wife died 10 years ago, I had to get up. I told the story. I was on the ground and I was in a fetal position. I had to get up. I had to learn all these dancing things that I do, but I got up. I went down 9 times, but I got up on the 10th. Keith got up on the 10th. JB got up on the 10th. And a lot of you sitting here have gotten up that 10th time. Keep getting up. Don't let what you hear and what you see and all of that bring you so far down that you don't want to get up. Okay? Treasure the love you receive. Don't be asleep like the audience that misses the sunrise. And be the best you can be. Impossible, as Audrey Hepburn says, means I am possible. I thank you all. I think I'm going to be here next week. There might be a challenge. I'll let Jock know. In the meantime, Friday Eve, beautiful weather today. Get out there and enjoy it. Thank you, George, for a great job. Stan, the breads were great. Jock, spin the vinyl.